right to basic nutrition, shelter, and health care. How do we monitor? How do we measure? I'm saying that, Madam Speaker, because all these are related and they are tied. And if we can free parents from paying school fees in primary schools, that is when we can go to sea. That is when parents can actually give their children good nutrition. But right now, we are attacking the little resources that the parents have to pay school fees. And while we are doing that, Madam Speaker, we should be aware that as a country, we have obligations that are internationally in nature. And we should ensure that we comply even with the international laws. And I just want to read one that came from UNESCO, where I used to attend. And in 1999, in fact, I attended as a representative of Moi University when discussions on free education was done. And Kenya is a signatory to these international conventions. The right to primary education at that time, free of charge, was established by an international instrument, notably the UNESCO Convention Against Discrimination in Education, Articles 13 and 14. And with that establishment, Kenya signed to it. That was the year, it was discussed in 1999, it was signed in the year 2000. Then what happens in Kenya? In the year 2001, in the year 2003, Kenya actually becomes one of the 5 countries in sub-Saharan Africa to attempt to give free education. So in the year 2003, free primary education, free and compulsory primary education was presented. The Senator of Kakamega has stated how it started. Kenya was celebrated alongside Malawi, Tanzania, Uganda, and Tanzania in the year 2004 because they had made a very huge step forward. And as I said, unless we actually implement that, the other rights of the children will be watered down. C, D, and E. Only parents who are free from paying school fees can give their children balanced food. Because where do they have to prioritize? And when you are prioritizing, these school fees issues and children coming home and crying that they are at home when their friends are in school will force the parents to pay school fees and feed them less. And that's why when we look at this motion, let's look at it in light of the other motions. And let's unpack this constitution properly. Madam, I really support this, Madam Speaker, because it is what we should have continued to pursue. The conventions, as established and as signed by Kenya, still talk of the right to free primary education. In fact, in the year 2001, in UNESCO, it was very clear that we were going towards a 2015 when no child should be at home. So the aim was to make sure that by 2015, every child can access, in fact there was access also, because you can be talking of free education that cannot be accessed. In our country, we know that we have different geographic situations. Aside that, some people have a school that is 20 kilometers away. So access is supposed to be also looked at because you cannot keep free and compulsory unless it can be accessed. And these are some of the things that as we unpack this, and as I would like the Senator to include access in what he's demanding in this motion. Because once this motion is done, it will be, we will take up in the Education Committee and make demands from the Minister to come and explain how we can actually deal with this. But, Madam Speaker, I like the way the Senator has gone ahead to propose to us the resolutions that we are going to give. One of the resolutions is to audit the funds that are allocated to bursaries. Mr. Speaker, as a committee, of education, we have been auditing the education sector by governors. And we have done only 9 out of the 47 governors. And as we discussed this, something really surprised us, that it is possible for a governor to have only 2 vocational training centers and release 700 million for bursaries. And we asked this question. We said, this thing is not even devolved. How come you don't have any agreement between yourself and the national government to enable you do this activity that is not devolved? We have been demanding as a committee that actually our sector must be addressed in terms of what is in Schedule 4. So as we told the governors that they should stick to Schedule 4, what do we hear? It's only political right to give bursaries. And we said, why is it political right? If you want to give bursaries, look for a way of getting a job where the bursaries are being given, as one of the senators has mentioned earlier. And we need to really know first the cost, because our position as a committee to our governors is there is nothing wrong with giving bursaries, but have an intergovernmental agreement so that functions are followed by resources. And we say this is new money. If you want to give bursaries, you need new money from the national government, because this is not your function. If you tell us at the county level, it is the governor who can identify the needs more than national government, we agree with you. We agree with you because we know those who are needy are closer to the MCAs and they are closer to the governor than anybody else. But why don't we do a neat thing and actually establish a relationship? And we say, COG, you have the summit with the president every year. What do you tell him when you go to the summit, if this is not an agenda for you to discuss? And this is why I really agree that if there is need, if they must give that, it must be consolidated. But the best thing is the answer that Senator Tango has given us, that instead of discussing bursaries and making children to be at the mercy of parents who have disagreed with chiefs, parents who have disagreed with MPs, because that's exactly the reality on the ground. We are being told that not everybody gets, and we got this from the same governors. When we ask them, members of parliament are doing this job and they're blaming you for following them all over. The governors, what did they tell us? They told us, you know what? MPs are a bit discriminative, or the chiefs are not identifying everybody. So why should we allow a child to be at the mercy of a chief, a child to be at the mercy of disagreements between a parent and a member of parliament? Because the positions they are giving us is that those who did not vote for me are not getting that money. And this is what this motion will free. Let us free our children from being under the mercy of anybody. And that's why I like the resolutions that this House is going to pass through this motion, that we really need to look at what the money is supposed to do. But more than anything, how can we free it so that we don't discuss basic education? We know that in the Kenyan law, we are talking about basic education. Madam Speaker, basic education is from primary school to secondary school. And we must stick to what we said in the Constitution. If we believed in Bomas that it is possible to have free basic education, why do we want to shy away from it now? Free primary education, that one we signed to it through conventions, international conventions. But when it came to our Constitution, we said we want free education up to Form 4. We must bite the bullet. Let's go for it. Let's reduce expenditure in all other sectors. But let this bring equality. Just as Mandela said, education becomes the equalizer. So we don't want to discriminate at the point of developing the brains of our children, at the point of developing professionals. Let us make it free. So I really support, and as I support, consolidation is not, in fact, just it. We need to know how much money the national government has been spending. Because when members of parliament through CDF talk about these bursaries as the only thing that has been given out to families equitably, we want to make sure that through this motion, we should make sure that everybody gets it without being pre-qualified by a chief, pre-qualified by an MCA, pre-qualified by a member of parliament. It is a pity that the members of parliament are using this. For the last 2 days, that is what we have been saying. We are not against CDF. Money must go to the ground, but they should not be involved in it. We need to have committees that can deal with CDF who are independent of oversight. Because otherwise, our members of parliament are not realizing that this 85% money that is in the national government has no oversight arm, because they have completely lost it and they are going after the 15%, which is in CDF. They need to rethink the approach that they are having. Yes, CDF, let's have money go to the constituency, but that money should not be run by the MCS, if I may add to that. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I want to support this and congratulate Senator Thangwa for bringing a motion that will enable us actually unlock one of the clauses in the Constitution that were supposed to have been a priority at the beginning of after the 2010 Constitution. Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I support.